Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2022 season, as we look forward to this weekend's triple header at Ellen Road, Leeds, as Saints men take on Wigan Warriors in the Betfred Challenge Cup semi-final, and the women's team take on the Leeds Rhinos in the Women's Challenge Cup final, with the offer of silverware on the table. And there's another game, but we're not going to talk about that because none of us are going to be there to see it.
You know what? You say that, it almost sounds like jest, but it's 100% truth, isn't it? I've heard some of the coaches of our fans are leaving straight after our game. For me, triple headers don't work. And triple headers don't work when the marketing for the game is do the bare minimum. And for a sport that is, unfortunately, so niche and sidelined that it is mainly played along the M62 corridor, we need more than that. And I think they're underselling our game.
These semi-finals should be showpiece events on terrestrial television. And what people are going to tune in and see is, even if everybody was in the ground who's bought a ticket, a half-empty stadium, in reality, it's going to look about a quarter full, because you can guarantee all the Huddersfield and Hull KR fans aren't going to rock up until about halfway through the Saints and Wigan semi. There is absolutely no fear, Kev, of missing out. These games should be in, even if it's a stadium like Warrington, which is basically a Lego stadium, 4 corners, 4 sides, well, no corners, 4 sides, or whatever it is, but full.
Yeah.
And keep the money in the sport as well. Play the games at stadiums who have invested in rugby league instead of paying rent to a Premier League football club. Yes.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with any of that. Listen, play it at Lee.
I say a Premier League football club will be championship soon, hopefully.
You hope.
You hope?
We both hope.
We hope.
Yeah.
There's a curry and a beer riding on us two staying up.
Yeah, too right. I have no problem with that. Get the fear of missing out in there, because you know what, with the semi-finals, has it been put out there in a good way, in a way that will capture floating fans, casual fans, that will kind of tell them where the game is, what the game's about, how important it is. And I know, listen, it probably falls nicely for the Beeb that they can just rock all the trucks up to one stadium, put the games on. They've not got to move them anywhere. They've not got to have 2 different trucks at different stadiums across the country. But you know what? It's just short selling the sport.
See, Kev, I've seen people suggest it might be due to the BBC, but then they've been happy to do it for every other round.
No, I'm not blaming the BBC for it. I'm saying it's going to be easier for them to do it. I'm not blaming them at all for it, but it's, as you say, if we can take it to other grounds and have it at a true neutral venue where the fans in that stadium are watching their team potentially get to a Challenge Cup final or have the heartache of missing out on a Challenge Cup final, then that's what it should all be about. And we've been to play.
Here's a question for you, Kev, just to interrupt you. Would you have had any complaints, or as many complaints, if this double header was at Headingley?
I still don't like double headers.
No, I don't. But at least it'd look full.
Well, yeah, and it'd be a rugby league ground being used for it
with an atmosphere.
Yeah,
from us at least.
Yeah, well, that's it. I just don't like the double headers. I don't like the premise of them. They didn't work at Bolton. I don't see why they're going to work at Leeds. It's not for me. And it's not for me to be negative about the sport. I'm usually quite positive. I want expansion. I want the sport to grow. I want the international game to grow. But stuff like this, to me, is poor. It's basic. It's basic. We don't have to do too much work to do this. Book one stadium, pay one lot of money out. That's all we can afford. You know what? We're going to do the bare minimum on marketing. We're going to do the bare minimum on letting people know when the game is, how important these games are, getting a storyline going for it. I know I replied to a Wigan fan actually off my personal account, chatting about when the games should be played. You know what? The challenge. Why is the Challenge Cup not set in stone for the first weekend of every month? You know full well, first weekend in February is round 5. First weekend in March is round 6. First weekend in April, Easter permitting, is the quarterfinals, and so on and so on. You know when it is. So when it comes round to you need tickets for it, you know when your paydays are going to be. And you know that you're not sticking 2 big games into one payday, because you've got to pay for these games separately with the way that memberships and season tickets work. This is, to me, there's no joined up thinking with it. And I just think that it could work better. And my example isn't perfect of saying play the first weekend of the month. I know that. But at least it's a joined up way of thinking to turn around and say, this is what we're going to do. Then the RFL have got a month to make some kind of narrative about the game. Like make Saints Whitehaven all about Kyler Moore. Make Saints Wigan about the fact that we beat them on Good Friday. You know what I mean? Like you can make some kind of story there about the game.
Right. Are we done moaning?
Yeah, probably not, but yeah, for now.
Right then, Kev. The squad, the eagerly awaited squad, has been announced. We obviously avoided any disciplinary issues this week. So talk us through that squad.
So coming in is Regan Grace, Kurt Sirenen after his ban, Conrad Harrell after his ban, Jake Wingfield as well back in, and out goes Sam Royal, Redvee.net sponsored Danny Hill. I think we're contractually obliged to say that every single time. Juma Sambu and Will Hopewati, who, as we pointed out on our social media, played pretty much 65 minutes of the Salford game on one leg.
Yeah, and I think if you're seeing the post that we put up, I think it's probably worth a read out to people before we go any further than the squad. We need to single out Will Hopewati. Whilst we could all see he was clearly injured after 20 minutes and was a passenger in attack, he put his hand up tonight and toughed it out for his teammates by staying out on the field, remaining solid in defence. He never hid, support him. He's put his body on line for the cause. I think we actually said very, very similar on the instant fan reaction. And then Christian Wolf has come out this week, Kev, in the media. And I think his comments were, if I can find them, Will Hopewati unfortunately won't be involved. He hurt his hamstring again, and it is a reoccurring one. He hurt it early on, but I think it's important I tell you what he did for us last weekend. When Johnny went off, we needed someone to hang out there for us and play tough. He played on one leg for us and couldn't do what he wanted to do, and he didn't have the impact he wanted to have, but he was so tough and used his experience to get through it, and we had no tries conceded on that side. I was really proud of his efforts. Well, Christian, I said it in less words.
He said it better than normal.
Thanks for backing me up, though.
Yeah, you know what? It's almost shades of the Mark Percival injury, isn't it? That it's not quite right, and they're resting him and giving the time to get over it, and he probably needs that extended period to sit out. It comes at a terrible time for us, but it is what it is.
Remember, Kev, when we had that injury-prone player? It was around about 2014. I think he played 15 games, and then the following season he only played 5. What have players like that ever done for Saints?
Well, they don't win us pots, do they? And you know what?
Kev, we better actually explain who we're talking about.
Yeah, well, you know what? Before we name the player, I get frustrated. We're going back into mourning territory here. I get frustrated by people who turn around and say an injured player and I'm going to use the quote that I've heard this week, is a joke. And the reason I think it's ridiculous is not only has he put his body on the line, Will Hopewati, and toughed it out for over an hour, but a joke would be a betting scandal, slapping his partner about,
a goal falling out his loft.
Yeah, getting drunk and getting arrested. That's a joke.
Not turning up for training.
Yeah, not turning up for training. Getting banned for drugs. That's a joke. And we've had players like that in the past. You can't hide from that. But this isn't a joke. This is Will Hopewati actually putting himself in harm's way to carry on for us and get us to the win. And listen, I'm not saying he got us to the win by being man of the match, but I tell you what, it's not a joke what he did. And anybody who thinks it is needs to just go away, just re-evaluate what he's done there. Again, I'm not going to turn around and say he's going to be the greatest signing we've ever had. I'm not going to turn around and say he was man of the match against Salford. Nothing like that. But you've got to take into consideration what he has done in that game. And the fact that it's not a joke. If you're picking up, break your ribs week 1, so we rest him and get him through that. Then he
how dare he break his ribs? What did he do, Kev? Did he pop quiz? What did he do? Did he throw an iron in the air and let it land on his chest because he was trying to juggle irons? Or was he playing rugby league and got it, mate?
Well,
playing rugby league.
That's it. And it's a tough one for him to
come over. Fee, by the way.
Well, that's it. There's nothing he can do. So I don't get it. And if he turns out to be an injury-prone player, which he hasn't been in his career so far, and he ends up, I don't know, leaving us early or not playing the number of games, like Joel Thompson, not playing the number of games that he should do or having the impact that he should do, then fair enough. But it still doesn't make him a joke. Still doesn't make him a joke. Anyway, you're going to tell us who that player was?
Yeah, Kev. Do you want another clue?
Go on.
He's blocked you on social media.
It could only be, it's not Josh Shanley. No, Ryan Atkins. Sorry, Josh Shanley hasn't.
Not yet.
Not yet. Probably will. No, he won't. I'm not going to abuse him.
You'd have to beat him then, Kev.
Yeah, I know. I'd have to go chat with him. Is it the number 6 for Saints?
It is, Kev. And that brings us swiftly on to our next topic, that Johnny Lomax has been named to the squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, obviously, he went off injured last week. There have been, obviously, if you've got a computer and you've got the internet, there's rumours that he suffered an arm injury. Well, he went off with an arm injury, and it's been talked about by Christian Wolff. He said he's got a chance of playing this week. You have to take it at face value. He's named in the squad. So we're working on the assumption that squad is fit to play.
I know.
If Johnny is in the team, first off, where do we go? How do we line up?
Well, I was going to say that the issue is Christian Wolff has thrown out in players who in that 21-man squad who haven't been fit and had no chance of playing. So,
well, you know my feelings on Regan Grace. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. He didn't play against Salford. He does not go back into that 17 for me. He is not. You can't go into a game of this magnitude. It was shown in the Challenge Cup final a couple of years ago against Warrington. You can't drop players in fresh off an injury. And you're
talking when we did that with about 3 players, though, not
one. But I just, if you've got any sort of injury concerns over Johnny Lomax, etc., you can't have another back coming back to fitness and risk him in this game and risk it. For me, you go on the wing where you tried and tested him, if that's Josh Sim.
You see, that's where we obviously agreed that if you've got any major injury worries, I don't see why you take that risk.
You're asking a player to come in without a pre-season.
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah, he played up at Whitehaven, didn't he?
And to be fair to the lad, look rusty.
Yeah. Well, as he would do. I mean, we looked a bit rusty last week after taking a week off. So, but yeah, listen, if Lomax plays, there's a couple of options, aren't there? If Johnny plays, there are a couple of options. Could play Jack Wellsby alongside him if you're going to play Regan Grace and drop Tommy into fullback. You could play Robes in the halves.
As at Huddersfield.
Yeah, nice basic game there. You could play Joey Lussick, who I think's got a better kicking game. But I think in the halves, if you put Robes in there, means he's probably got to do less tackling.
But then I spoke earlier in the week. We had all the combinations mentioned. Nobody mentioned Ben Davies until I put it out there. Obviously, a couple of people at the time said, well, he might get banned. But then you start thinking about it. If Regan isn't potentially fit, do you really want to be moving Tommy Makinson to fullback?
Yeah, I think that's one thing. There was a tweet that came into us from Simon Haig 1. And he actually mentioned that one where he said he'd be tempted to play Davies as a second halfback, presuming Lomax plays, with instructions to keep it simple, let Wellsby chime in with killer plays, keeps the rest of the team in preferred positions. And that's one that stood out because there were a couple of people who sending the teams in with the likes of Roby at halfback alongside Wellsby and Makinson at fullback and the likes. But I think that's it. It kind of gets in with what you're saying. You don't want to be swapping all your team round. You want to keep it as settled as you can, because you don't want to be going into a game wanting to kind of get 4, 5, 6 different combinations sorted when you can try and do it with 1 or 2 instead.
Yeah. And again, it probably goes back to Regan would be rusty if he comes in on the wing. Tommy's not played fullback this season.
Yeah.
Generally. And again, listen, if Ben Davies did a job at Cass, you could potentially, if you need somebody who can kick in the halves, if Johnny can't. So if you put Ben Davies there, does he take up the kicking game?
Possibly. I think we've seen Jack Wellsby kick from fullback as well. If that's the preferred one, we've seen Joey Lussick kick. So that's it. It depends who they go with in the halves, because Joey Lussick's kicking game was decent against Salford, and I think that'll put him in good stead for the game on Saturday. Roby's always got a decent kicking game. Some of them went a little bit long from Robes and give him a 7 tackle set. You don't want to keep doing that. But there are options though. That's the thing. There are options. The one that does get mentioned every so often is Kurt Sirenen dropping into 6. But I think that one's if needs, really, really must.
Yeah. Well, the other one now is if Johnny doesn't play, who do you go with in the halves at that point? You're going to have to have Wellsby there because you're going to have to have someone, aren't you?
Yeah, when I first thought about this and I tried picking a team like with and without him, and I put Wellsby and Roby in the halves. And I know it goes against what I'm saying with all your combinations, but they'll have been training all week and trying to get them right. Obviously, they're not just turning up on match day and doing that. I put Wellsby and Roby in there without Lomax, just because you know what, you've got the young kind of maverick, and you've got the older head who can keep it simple.
That said, in that 21-man squad, the 17 that you pick is still better than Wigan's 17, isn't it? There should be enough there, shouldn't there? I know it's a derby; it can go either way, but we should have enough.
I think that's the thing. It's a one-off cup tie, and listen, this is where I get my book of cliches out. It's a one-off cup tie. I think our pack is better than theirs, which then lays your platform. If our pack gets on top, then we're going to lay a platform to go ahead and should win with that pack. We need to be miles better than last week. I still maintain my early comments from Instant Fan Reaction where I said we got away with one last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd get away with one this week as well. I'd be quite happy with getting away with one this week. But if that pack turns up, with Sione getting we're getting minutes last week and possibly getting a little bit more match sharpness, as long as our pack turns up, we should give ourselves a better chance than they do.
In hindsight, Kev, and we talk about last week wasn't good, and it wasn't, and we got away with one. But then we played 20 minutes down to 12, which essentially wasn't far off being down to 11 with Will Hopewati's injury. And so you're not only down to potentially 11 fit players on the field, you've not really got a halfback combination, and we got through it. And isn't a sign of a champion team one that wins when it's not playing well?
Yeah, there are mitigating factors, but there's also, regardless of having 11, there's also, or 12, there's also some dumb plays in there. I mean, listen, Jack Wellesby is still learning his trade, and you love watching him. But him throwing that ball out in the last couple of minutes, I'm sorry, that's a dumb play.
It's not, Kev, because you know what? He's thinking of the bigger picture here. He's thinking, do you know what? I'll risk throwing a game-losing pass out because I've got Morgan Knowles to play Superman.
Yeah, mate,
we're gonna go to watch that film this week, and when it's all tied up and it's the 79th minute, he's gonna throw that pass, but he's not. He's gonna dummy it and he's gonna go for the line and he'll cross untouched. It's all the master plan, Kev.
You've been on the booze early. Listen, I'd love that to happen. I'll buy you a drink if that happens.
Do you ever wonder? And it must
have that in your head.
Teams set plays up and they'll do things and they always hold things back, don't they? For special occasions.
Yeah.
And it's like we'll show the same move 4 times on the bounce, and the 5th time when everybody falls for it, we'll be off.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He does need to cut out the dumb passes.
Yeah, and listen, and that's not me just picking on Jack Wellesby. He's learning his trade. I'm enjoying watching him learn his trade, and you've got to be aware that that's going to happen in a key position like that. You've got to be aware of it. But you know what? Listen, we got away with it. We won the game. As you say, mitigated circumstances. We'll move on from Salford.
Who misses out for you? I will go. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Regan.
Okay.
Kyler Moore.
Yeah.
Jake Wingfield.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to miss out, but I suspect it'll be Dan Norman.
Yeah, I can see that. Unless Regan is fit, that's it. It's one of them that cards are going to be close to the chest, aren't they? You could see Regan and Johnny missing out. You could see both of them playing. You could see one of them missing out, one playing, can't you? I think bench-wise, as you say, with Dan Norman, listen, he's learning his trade. Props usually come into their own when they're a bit older, but I think Louis and Iggy are going to be your 2 props on the bench, aren't they? I can't see much difference to that because, like, even on the bench, even if you had the likes of Ben Davies on the bench, he can cover a multitude of positions, and I think that's where he's going to find his niche at the moment. You know, like I'm not comparing him to Jack Wellesby, but you know, like Jack Wellesby did, where it was a case of you need to get in the team, and this is how you're going to do it. That's possibly how Ben Davies is going to do it.
Well, I'm fairly certain there was an interview with Christian Wolf. Maybe was it end of last season, pre-season, or I don't know whether it was in a forum, and he talked about obviously Jack Wellesby being that utility role, just doing enough to get on the side. And I was about to say, as Ben Davies shown enough in different ways with different qualities over the last couple of weeks to say he's justifying his place in that 17 now, and it's going to be hard to shift out given his utility value.
Yeah, I think he's on the way to. Whether he's done enough in 2 games is a tough call, but listen, he played 6 against Castleford, didn't do a bad job. You saw how big he was in defence as well as his kicking game. You see him last week where he scores a try, gets over, and again, defence good, absolutely no problems with him. That's kind of a position that he's got to look at and not turn around, and he'll want to play in one position. He'll want to either pick centre, 6, or second row loose forward. But I'm sure he's just enjoying getting in and around the team and turning around and saying, "Listen, you can't leave me out because I can play 4 positions for you here."
And
as soon as you can do that, you're going to be in and around, aren't you?
And he's potentially, obviously, there's rumours abound, obviously, about the squad for next season. Conrad Harrell, one that's been linked on that, going back to the NRL. So Ben Davis wants to put his hand up and go, do you know what? You don't need to go and sign someone. You've got a replacement here.
Yeah. That's what Josh Sim will be doing. That's what Ben Davis will be doing. That's what they need to be doing.
Okay, Wigan squad.
Don't care.
Don't care. Neither do I.
Sam Powell missing.
You actually are going to talk about them.
I could do. I know they're missing 3, but I can't remember who the third one is. But they're missing Sam Powell and they're missing Thomas Luluai. So 2 good defenders for them, 2 key players for them. But yeah. No, I can't think of the other one. I'm sure there was 3 that they were missing. But yeah, there we go. That's all I'm gonna say.
Much better. Back to the red and white.
Yes.
Get rid of the cherry and white. Back to the red and white. And the ladies, the Saints women, in the Challenge Cup final, looking to retain the trophy and looking to go through the whole competition without actually conceding a point, Kev. I think the 316-0 up on aggregate so far.
It's unreal. Oh, absolutely unreal. Yeah, listen, the way that they're going, you wouldn't back against them, would you? And I think the signings they're making, the way that they're playing, the kind of professionalism that they've got for what they are, amateur players, is unreal. And you have a look through that kind of team sheet there with the likes of Amy Hardcastle and Tara Jones, and Shani Crowell, Jodie Cunningham, all turning up week in, week out, putting shifts in, and kind of showing some of the younger players kind of how to act, how to go forward with your game. And you know what? They're a joy to watch.
I think the good thing is, obviously, they'll have a strong backing for the entire game. So there'll be a real strong Saints contingent that get in the ground for the whole of the Women's Challenge Cup final. But you can guarantee by the end of it, if they're coming out victorious, the entire Saints contingent will be in the ground and will create a really good atmosphere for them.
Yeah, definitely. And it's what they deserve. It's absolutely what they deserve. The trailblazers, they're bossing that league, but they are trailblazers, and they're properly getting girls, young women involved in sport. And people might not fancy rugby, but they'll see these women going out there and representing the town. And you can imagine that girls will be looking at it thinking, I want to do that. And whether it's rugby, whether it's football or whatever, they're getting them active. And I love the fact that after every game, you see the players going over, having the pictures taken with fans. I absolutely love that connect with the town. We spoke about it an awful lot when Justin Holbrook was here, and these women get it, and they get that connect with the fans. That, you know what, 5 minutes spent walking around the perimeter of the pitch, having a couple of pictures taken, it makes the young'uns' days.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed. This is the first of a clean sweep on the silverware for the town this year. The men let us down last year, didn't they? With not winning the league leaders. Yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed. Good luck to the ladies, and we'll have the polish ready for the cup.
Definitely get the Brasso out.
What was it? Wasn't there? What was the Saint song? Was it one of the Chris Joint testimonials song where they talk about not having any Brasso in Wigan?
I don't remember that. Somebody will let us know.
I'm sure it was. Hang on, I'm now searching for it. There'll be something on Google.
You're going to give us a rendition of it when you find it?
It's a really bad, I'm sure it's like really bad version. I'm sure it was Chris Joint's testimonial. Showing our age now, aren't we?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, it currently looks like I'm just waiting for you to start being able to use your phone. Nothing. Somebody will mention it in the comments. Somebody will.
It's gonna bug me that I'm sure I've got it somewhere.
Well, when you find it, put a video out of you singing it, so we can all hear it. Get it going on. I'm
sure it's something like the pie eaters are feeling sick. Have you got no recollection of this?
No. I think this is the point now where you should be saying, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you.
Sully Songsters, I've got it. I've got it. Oh, it's a Facebook post. Has anybody got a copy of it?
No.
Sully Songsters. There you go, Kev. If you've still tuned into this now, first of all, why?
Yeah, exactly. This last couple of minutes has been horrific.
Yeah. There we go. Anybody got a copy of The Pie Eaters Are Feeling Sick by Sully Songsters? Let us know. Right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you were any sort of Saints fan, you'd have known the answer to that.
Well, you didn't.
I did. Got the answer.
You've not sung it once.
The Pie Eaters are feeling sick. The Pie Eaters are feeling sick. There's no trophies in Wigan. The Pie Eaters are feeling sick.
You're making this up now.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Cut.
All right.